Mm.
Yeah, that's good. Be like Johnny Carson's.
You opened it. We paid.
And we're live, and Restream has fucked me over yet again. At some point, I'll get the hang of Restream. Meanwhile, I'll just share the new link with everybody in the previous chat. Let's check that, and we're live. We should be live on D-Live as well. Yeah, we're live on D. We were live on D-Live, and that's the right. Even that's got the wrong fucking title on it as well. God, I hate Restream. Well, we're live anyway, so.
Hello.
Hello.
Evening all. Hello.
Oh, jeez. Alexa, stop.
Hello. I just noticed what the bloody time was. I do apologise. I've been busy learning Esperanto, so I got very caught up in it.
And you know what they say to that? If I can remember the bit. If I can remember the bit from Red Dwarf.
I was just going to say,
Call
Jupiter
the hall
Mining
porter. There's a
Corporation.
frog in my b-day.
Yes, that's it. So welcome to another exciting episode of Fortean Birds. And,
Girls and Ghosts.
Today, Girls and Ghosts. This is a subject I want to talk about for a while, and I hope our esteemed guests can help me here. You know about poltergeist reportings and telekinesis and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm told it seems to happen mostly if the girls are prepubescent. Sorry, not prepubescent, when they're just entering puberty.
Going through puberty, isn't it?
And I'm thinking to myself, there's plenty of changes that's happen in the body during puberty. So what is it with girls that when they go through puberty, they start having unconscious telekinetic powers? What's up with that then? Not to put you on the spot or anything, but I'm just like, you're a woman, so come on, explain to me how you can be like telekinetic and you're still the fairest sex.
No, it's never happened to me.
No,
Sorry.
I don't have any
I haven't been
experience.
able to
That you know
anything
of.
other than
I mean-
if I've had a curry that's gone down the wrong way.
Or what if, like, you know, you're in the kitchen or something, and suddenly, like, a plate comes flying out the cupboard, and you just be like, "Oh, I thought I put that carefully."
Aliens
Get
did it.
divorced.
No, it's women
Remember
what
that time
did
we used
it.
up a bog roll in one day? Aliens did it.
Oh yeah, that was aliens.
Yeah. Is that a catch question, or was it just your opportunity to introduce sex into yet another program?
I have mentioned it because women are a different sex to men, but it's
True.
mostly like I heard this thing about pubescent girls, women. They're not women yet, so therefore they're girls. Do all these things, and you get poltergeist sightings, and it's quite scary because they don't know they're causing it. They're not aware that they're flinging photographs off the mantelpiece, but it happens.
Hope it sounds like you've had some unfortunate experiences.
The unintentional poltergeist.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, Can I make a suggestion that you pick your girlfriends a little bit?
I've left all the girlfriends I've been with.
Hobbit gets girlfriends that are so crazy they can move objects with their mind. That's how
Yeah.
fucking crazy they are.
No, he did mention something about knives.
Yes. I mean,
All right, to be serious, I have heard the same thing, but I'm not an expert, so I'm really sorry. I can't. I thought boys were also prone to be having problems with poltergeists at the time of their maturity arriving. How can I put that?
I mean, the thing is, because the hormonal changes in boys must be as significant as that with women, and you could even argue in some ways it's more, because I mean your muscles get stronger, your bones get denser, your voice starts breaking in it, and it's definitely there is a profound effect with puberty. And I know we're on the subject of ghosts, which is something else, but this does tie into it, because it's one of those things of like, what are the ghosts actually?
I've got a suggestion for you, Hobbit. Why don't you start a Telegram group called prepubescent males and females, and run a survey? You know, when they hit that moment, and there's one or two in the movement.
Maybe Chris Dangerfield could be one of the moderators on it.
Yeah, why not? And then we can just see what happens when they hit that glory moment. You know?
I'm sure there'll be no unforeseen consequences of this Telegram group.
None at all.
No, none.
Things go wrong in those groups? I've never heard of that.
I mean, the thing is that all I'm suggesting is that you do a trial.
Mm.
You know.
I mean, I think the really the sort of person you want to get that is like Rupert Sheldrake, because he does do like proper science when it comes to these spooky phenomena, and he's done the telephone telepathy experiment, and there is a statistically significant correlation where people get it right most of the time. In this experiment, you had one of 4 random people which would ring you up, and you'd know it was one of the people in the experiment, so it would tell you, but you had to guess which one it was prior, and you'd expect it statistically you get it right 1 out of 4 times,
right?
But they'll find out they're getting it right 1 out of 4 times is 25%. They're getting it right 75% of the time, or 70 to 75%. Yeah, no, I mean,
are we moving on to spoon bending now?
No, nothing of that sort of thing. But I'm just
I've
thinking,
seen a lot of those programs as well. Did you see they're quite old now, the ones where they were doing, there was a Russian who was
it Yuri Geller?
No, a female.
Oh.
I think it's a female, and she was right sort of 90% of the time, and she could move things. But you can't. Can you trust them? Do we know that something?
I'll tell you what's a bit shit is those people that move telephone directory pages with their mind. And it's always their breath, isn't it? It's they found some way of like channeling their breath so they can flick pages out. It's really rubbish.
I've never seen that.
One thing I do have first-hand experience of is dowsing. I've done that, and I've seen people, they do dowsing at a distance where they'll have a pendulum and start swinging it whilst asking it questions. And I thought, yeah, but you'll have tremors in your hand which do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only once I started doing it myself to realize, like, yes, you do have tremors in your hand. So in my case, it's like, right, I'm going to try and make the tremors as little as possible. I'm not going to try and consciously affect it and see what happens. And when I was walking around with the dowsing rods, it does correspond to places where I knew there was water. So I've taken it to churches, I've taken it to the Rollright Stones, where there's a big body of underground water under it. I've taken it to wells before, and I found like the extent of where the cistern on the well was. And I suspect what's going on there is that you get these slight magnetic fields which humans are sensitive to, like birds and other creatures. And your body will start responding to it. So maybe there is something to be said for these when you're twiddling a pendulum and it starts spinning one way or another.
Didn't Uri Geller claim that he was being paid by oil companies to dowse for oil?
Apparently, Mark Collett said that Uri Geller was Mossad, according to Ryan Duke.
He was also friends with Michael Jackson.
Well, I was going to say Uri Geller was CIA, wasn't he? Was he? He was Secret Services, definitely, wasn't he? Because he did all the remote viewing stuff.
Think of a spying agency and double it.
Yeah.
He, being that he was Israeli, he had to do his national service with the IDF, and I'm pretty sure they were interested in him. So the Mossad said, "Yeah, can you work for us?" And probably just like amusing him at the parties and bar mitzvahs.
I remember when he was trying to get Whit Redding to win the FA Cup. That was hilarious. They got hammered by Man United.
Redding. Oh dear.
Win, Reading, win! I remember that one. It was hilarious. It psychically blocked the goal, but about 5 went in.
I know he's got a lovely house on the Thames.
Does he?
Is that where he lives? He's still alive, isn't he?
Yeah, no. Well, unless he's moved.
73, according to Wikipedia.
He's living alongside of the River Thames. It's probably been flooded a few times since then.
One of the I remember like the idea for Mossad was like saying, "Hey, use your spoon bending powers to collapse the barrels of this gun," and he couldn't do it. But then again, I suspect he's not using the power of his mind to do that. He's using the power of, well, if you rub a spoon with it in between your fingers, you can bend the metal.
Did you not see the magician that replicated everything that Uri Geller ever did?
Did Penn and Teller do it? What's spoon bending?
He just weakened them in advance. You know, it's all sleight of hand. When no one's looking, you're giving that spoon a real big. I mean, they are very weak. You probably go to the canteen at the BBC and get some really weak spoons. It was the clock thing, wasn't it? Stopping people's clock at home and people phoning in to say that their clock had stopped. But had it really, or were they just attention seekers?
Oh, so it says other methods to use a metal spoon that's been prepared so a simple flick will cause it to bend or break. Either that, or you have a broken one where you hold so it looks like it's unbroken.
I think the guy said something about heating the metal where the bowl part of the spoon meets the neck so that it's already weak.
Why a spoon though? Why not a fork? Well,
they do forks as well.
Yeah, he did do forks. He didn't do any knives though.
Oh,
no,
some novelty or magic shops sell self-bending spoons utilising the physical properties of nickel titanium alloy, which can be used by amateur and stage magicians.
Get those out at Christmas and watch everybody drop their food on their laps.
Yeah.
Oh, my favourite one.
Gallium.
Oh yeah, gallium wouldn't go back to its original thing because I was just there's a website called Grand Illusions. They sell interesting toys, and amongst their toys, they've got one which is, what's the word? Gallium spoons. That's it. So you give someone like a spoon, so they can stir sugar into their tea or what have you, and then as they take the spoon out, they find it's melted. Endless hours of fun.
And they've been poisoned by the metal they've used.
Oh yeah, they say whilst gallium is not poisonous, you probably don't want to drink your tea as it won't taste very nice.
Yeah. So are we gonna do some unexplained mysteries?
Yeah. That's good, that is.
The true scale of the megalodon shark revealed. Gargantuan prehistoric shark was so large that a human standing on its back would be the size of its fin. That is pretty scary, isn't it?
I saw that film. That was with Jason Statham. Jason Statham representing the Chinese government.
Nice.
And you know, I know it's propaganda, but at the same time, it's pretty good propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
It was wholesome. There wasn't any swearing in it. The casting was good. Yeah, it was a good film.
So, measuring up to 18 metres in length, this prehistoric behemoth Behemoth, which lived up until around 2.6 million years ago, made the great white shark, which is less than a third of its size, look like a minnow. For 20 million years, this what?
I was going to say 18 meters is too scientific. You've got to give it in journalist things. How many elephants or double-decker buses is that?
How many football pitches? You got to do in football pitches, haven't you?
Oh, let's have a look. Football pitch length. Football pitch length. I can't spell length, but it's okay. It knows what I mean. A football pitch. I'll have to go on Wikipedia now. God, what? Boundary? It is
100 yards.
It's 90 meters, 50 and 100 yards. Yeah.
Oh, right. That doesn't go very well, does it? It's like a fifth of a football pitch.
Yeah. You could fit 5 of them in a football pitch.
Yeah. Yeah, that don't make it sound very big, does it?
No, it's not. Oh, it's rubbish, isn't it? Stupid prehistoric beasts.
I think you'd noticed if you had one hanging off your leg, though. For 20 million years, this gargantuan predator dominated the world's oceans, but then something happened that had such a catastrophic effect on this species that it ended up going extinct. Now, a new study by
something happening is Jason Statham.
Yeah. He killed. No, it was Roy Scheider killed them all. Now, a new study by scientists in the UK has revealed for the first time just how large Megalodon actually was by building upon previous estimates of length of its body. A Megalodon measuring 16 metres in length is now believed it would have a head measuring 4.65 metres long and a dorsal fin 1.62 metres tall and a tail 3.85 metres long. Such an extreme size cements its place as one of the largest predators ever lived. Megalodon was actually the very animal that inspired me to pursue paleontology in the first place at just 6 years old. I was over the moon to get a chance to study it, said researcher Jack Cooper. This was my dream project, but to study the whole animal is difficult, considering that all we really have are lots of isolated teeth. But that's it.
They say they got like all these isolated fragments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I often wonder with like the dinosaurs that actually no, they're not dinosaurs, they're dragons, but they're just rebuilding the fragments and saying, yeah, that's a stegosaurus. That is. It's like, what are you talking about? You've just put like claws from one creature or teeth onto its back and says, yeah, that's how it looks, isn't it?
The iguanodon they originally got wrong, didn't they? Because it's actually like a thumb bone, isn't it? But they actually thought it was a tooth originally.
They put the legs where the arms should be, so it looked all weird.
Yeah.
A dinosaur that looks like a hippopotamus with a elongated thing, and it's got like a horn on its head.
Oh, you mean a triceratops?
Ah, no, Triceratops has got like 3 horns. Oh, I don't know what this one is. Yeah, I don't know. I think these creatures, they're just imagining, aren't they? I was interested in dinosaurs as a kid, but aren't all kids interested in dinosaurs?
Yeah, you should be. You're a bit weird if you're not, I think.
Yeah.
You should be interested in dinosaurs and explosions.
Dinosaurs, explosion, and climbing trees.
Yeah.
And slingshots.
Otherwise, you're a
nerd
kid.
They're good.
And
I didn't have a
goblins.
slingshot, but I did have a bow and arrow as a kid.
Speaking of goblins, a bizarre report from Zimbabwe claims that 2 cops discovered...
Oh, Donny, your internet's just shit the bed. Is everybody's internet? Is everyone else there? Oh, hold on. Something's happening. There's no one here. Hello. Australia.
First time.
Oh, that's it. Can hear you again, right? Discord just shit the bed on me.
Oh, no shit.
Didn't hear any of that story.
Should we do the bit?
Do you want to take it from the top? It's not doing it again, is it? Don, you still there? Donny, mate. What the hell is going on with this? Oh, Discord's just completely shit the bed on me. I'm on my own now. Right, okay, then, interesting. Right, so retiree David Tate, who lives near Brisbane, Australia, played host to 2 unexpected visitors on Monday. Sounds like the stuff of nightmares, but for David Tate this week, this nightmare scenario became a stark reality when 2 massive carpet snakes, which had been presumably fighting over a female, came tumbling onto his kitchen floor through a large hole in the ceiling. According to snake catcher Stephen Brown, the 2 serpents, which measured 2.8 metres and 2.5 metres long, were among the largest he had seen in the region. Just doing the story about the snakes. I think Discord has returned to normal now. It's just reset itself.
Discord's having a bad day.
Check.
No, it's my end. Discord just...
Oh, your Discord.
Yeah.
Well, I just think in general it's having a bad day.
Yeah, I had to reset mine a couple of times.
I was just doing the one about doing about the 2 snakes. So he had 2 carpet snakes, 2.8 and 2.5 metres long, come falling out of his ceiling.
As you do.
Yeah. Carpet snakes, they're really poisonous, aren't they?
That doesn't compare to Dangerfield's little gecko called Borden and Mrs. Borden and Baby Borden.
That was quite sweet.
I'm missing
Everything's
that.
shit the bed now.
Wow.
He left them.
Oh, dear.
How could he do that? I miss
This
Borden.
is crazy. You think it's the restream?
Oh, I don't know what it is.
It
That
doesn't
stream's
show as
finished.
being
There
off.
should
Yeah.
be. Hold on. I'm gonna have to fucking abandon restream because it is a bit fucking garbage.
Yeah, because the thing was going black on me. The screen, my phone screen just kept flickering black.
I'll tell you if it's on. Hang on.
Yeah, I can see it on YouTube.
Right, that one's finished.
Hello, I just noted what the bloody time was.
All right.
That's that one, and I think there is a. Oh,
All right. No, it's replaying.
I think it's that. What restream will do is it'll automatically start a new channel.
I see it up there now. It looks like it's 7 watching. It's back on.
Yeah.
Hello, folks. We're back again. Just thought you got rid of us.
Someone's put what the
Don't
fuck is
talk
going
geek at
on?
once.
Yeah. Fucking
the hell's
YouTube
that
now is
thing?
doing my head in.
Technology. Have
Yeah,
you tried
YouTube.
turning it off and on again? Are we all dead?
No,
I
we're
mean,
still going.
No,
That's not that one.
Okay.
is it the
I
snakes?
mean, we're not entertaining the
We got one with
crowd.
12 watching. It's showing from the
Technology.
snakes. I'll have to stitch these
Have
together.
you tried turning it off and on again?
Oh, carpet pythons are not poisonous, apparently, according to Iron Duke. Everyone's up with
Are we all
us.
dead?
No,
I mean,
we're still going.
What they were doing above his ceiling? Were they in someone's apartment?
They were fighting over a female, apparently.
Yep, working. It's going good. 2 giant snakes crashed through a man's ceiling.
Still, I suppose there might be a tasty snack.
This is,
Carpet snakes.
it must be Restream having a problem.
Yeah. Check the D Live.
Because it says YouTube's not receiving enough video. But I've got more than enough internet to be doing this. So it's just being...
I think it's a.
I can see your cursor moving around on the screen.
Yeah, it should be. It should be... Yeah, it's streaming. We're streaming. We're back streaming again.
Oh, goody.
I'm sorry, folks. This is so unprofessional, but hey.
Yeah, Yeah, I'll try. You try and use Restream, which means probably that D-Live's gone down. No, D-Live's still streaming, I think.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah, it's calling itself Comical Chalet.
Yeah. Good old Restream.
Whatever could the comical Shelley be?
Comical Chalet.
Shelley.
Welcome to a very special episode of Comical Chalet.
Where YouTube shits the bed.
Yes.
Shit the bed again.
And
Well, not. No, I think we're all right now. I don't know.
and
But
two
that
giant
was
snakes
definitely.
crash through a mad ceiling.
Darlings, are we entertaining people or not?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Well,
Let's get on with it.
I'm
then, shall we?
entertained.
Life's a bit short.
Are we not
According to snake
entertained?
catcher
And then
Stephen
you
Brown,
die. And then
the
you
two
die.
serpents, which measured 2.8 meters and 2.5 meters long, were amongst the largest he had seen in the region. Fortunately, both were safely captured and taken to a nearby forest, and released to no female snake was found, suggesting they may be loose in the house somewhere. We have a lot of bush around here, so you do see
He has a lot of bush
snakes,
around there,
okay?
does he?
But I'd never seen snakes of that size. For Brown, this time of year is particularly busy for snake catchers in Australia. You know, a coronavirus pandemic as well. More people than ever have been finding snakes at home. Because people are at home and they're not out and about. There's got a perfect storm where people will see more snakes, he said. Back
Okay,
to
yeah.
you, panel.
Yes.
Everything.
There we
Spooky
go.
snakes.
Oh, fucking hell. Iron Duke said he had a heart carpet python used to like sleeping in our bed by Nimbin. By a woman.
I don't believe they're poisonous.
My woman called it Cuddles. My woman called it Cuddles. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. The only poisonous constrictor is the Bushmaster, and that, I believe, is not in Australia. It's in another part of the world.
What about the trouser snake? Does that cause much trouble?
one's poisonous.
Occasionally it does. Occasionally it scares people
Women.
off of the internet. But that's not the topic.
Do you want to do the one about cops flee from goblins found in suitcase?
Let me get back to that tab. Everything shit the bed on me.
Bizarre
Spooky
report from
story.
Zimbabwe claims that. Do you want to do this in your African voice, Hobbit?
Oh, is this a BBC Pigeon thing? Yeah, this
Oh,
go
should
to
No, it's
6
from
months.
Unexplained Mysteries about the
Yep.
cops flee from goblins found in suitcase.
Sorry, I was looking at
9/2/2020.
the room to see if I could find it in there, but it's not. So let me just go to Unexplained. Yeah, because somebody showed me a thing, a picture the other day of like a cloud in the shape of a cube, and they were saying that is the aliens to distract from the race war? Is the race war to distract from the aliens? And I just thought to myself, like, yeah, it's just a friend of mine who doesn't know I'm into woo-woo stuff. She shared me this picture of like the cloud there and talking about race war, and didn't say. And I just thought, oh, okay, yeah, because I covered this story about the cube on the sun. Oh, here we go. A bizarre report from Zimbabwe claims that 2 cops discovered goblins while searching a suitcase. According to the story, the peculiar incident began when businessman Sanderson Bloom, who runs a grinding mill at Lupoti Business Center in Tete, was accused of being responsible for the deaths of several dogs that had ended up poisoned after venturing into his homestead. Local villagers in the area were so incensed that they enlisted the help of 2 police officers who confiscated his suitcase and decided to open it to look for evidence of poison supplies. When they opened it, however, they discovered a number of goblins inside, which terrified them so much that they turned tails and fled as fast as they could. It's goblins like Zimbabwe slang for they found a bribe. They were shocked. Oh, here we go. So, they were shocked when they saw strange beings which they believed were goblins and were seen running for their dear lives, a source told B Metro. Apparently, this isn't the first time Shamyoyashi has been accused of strange activities either. Most recently, he was seen by villagers digging a grave of a relative of his wife, the source said. He fled from the source. Who is this source? He fled from the scene, leaving his shoes, which were used as exhibit, and the issue was taken to Chief Nikulapa, After the full trial, the chief ordered him to leave the area, but he denied vehemently that he was the one who was seen desecrating a grave. He, Shamyuyashi, said the chief should enlist the services of witch hunters, popularly known as Wakanda Forever, to come and sniff out the witch, saying if Wakanda Forever catch someone else, he would take the villagers to the chief to task. The strange report highlights just how much supernatural beliefs and superstition still endure in Zimbabwe. Suffice to say, this is one story that's worth taking with a very large pinch of salt indeed. bwmetro.co.aw, that is very racist of you. How dare you not believe these people? They definitely saw goblins in the suitcase. It definitely wasn't a bribe.
So here's the next story. UFO sightings in US were up during lockdown. Turns out more people than ever have been watching the skies during the coronavirus pandemic. It might not be the most obvious pastime, but scanning the heavens for signs of UFOs have been an increasingly popular activity in recent months, thanks to no small part to the coronavirus lockdown that's left millions unable to do much of anything else while outside their own homes. According to the National UFO Reporting Centre, NUFORC, do you reckon they have fights with MUFON? Do you reckon it's like the Judean People's Front and the People's Front of Judea? A non-profit organisation.
Yeah, it's like people who play Magic, versus people who play D&D,
Yeah. A non-profit organisation that investigates and catalogues UFO sightings in the United States. There's been a 51% increase in the number of UFO sightings over this time last year. Out of more than 5,000 such sightings, 20% occurred in April alone, which happens to coincide with the height of the coronavirus lockdown in the US. In a time of crisis, we look elsewhere for salvation, even if it means looking to the stars, he said, said NUFORC director Peter Davenport. Back in January, a poll by Ipsos found that 50% of Americans believe there is life elsewhere in the universe, and 45% are under the impression that aliens have visited Earth. A similar poll by Pipsley in February found that 61% wanted the US government to declassify and release all available information on the topic of UFOs. I'm sure Trump sent out a tweet where he's looking into it, hasn't he?
I am monitoring the situation.
I'm monitoring. That was a good video. Do you remember that? The monitoring the situation meme video.
Yeah.
Am I the only person that saw that one? Okay, then.
There's an old meme where it's like, I am monitoring this thread, and it's a monitor lizard.
Oh, it's...
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Yeah, something wrong with Restream Sojo.
It's shit in the bed.
Shit in the fucking bed, mate.
Is it down?
Ralph Hactus. Ralph Hactus. No, D-Live's restarted again. It just keeps restarting, so I'm live now.
That's
still live.
Odd.
I mean, if needs be, maybe I could do hosting one of these days, because
you can now, can't you?
As you know, the carrier pigeons have been retired, and we've got internet in the Shire now.
We have proper internet in the Shire.
We've got proper internet in the Shire.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with my internet. I think it's, I don't know, Restream just being gay.
Well, I was thinking, instead of using Restream, just like have like an upload slot from my computer going to like all the different sites at the same time.
Yeah, I suppose it'd be just as easy just to open a OBS window and a Streamlabs window.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a lot more reliable anyway.
Want me to do the gigantic snapping turtles one?
Calling tech.
Bronze Age Brits next turned bones into instruments. I thought blacks invented music. During the Bronze Age, our ancestors would sometimes turn the bones of their relatives into musical instruments. While in the modern age it's not unusual for someone to keep the ashes of a deceased relative, some people in Bronze Age Britain took preservation of the dead one step further by doing away with the cremation process entirely and holding on to actual body parts for long periods of time. According to the new research, between 2,000 and 4,000 years ago, it was not unusual for people to use the bones of their dead relatives in a wide variety of ways, such as incorporating them into the foundations of a building, decorating a gravesite, or even making musical instruments out of them. It puts a whole new spin on the old Tom Jones song, doesn't it? It's not unusual to make musical instruments out of dead people.
Dead people.
I've been to the ossuary in Malta. It's Co-Cathedral. It's a little chapel just next to it, and it's built out of the bones of the dead Knights of Malta. Well, it's not built out of the bones of the living Knights of Malta. And it's very metal. I look at that and I just think this would make for a brutal album cover.
Yeah, like a.
I found the UFO story I was looking for.
Oh, what's this one then, Hobbit?
Well, so there's two things. So first of all, I was doing cube-shaped UFO, and then something came up on the Daily Star. Cube-shaped UFO seen flying at high altitude, catched by Viva Air pilot.
Let me put this up so the audience can see it.
Oh, shall we do that one first then?
Yeah, we'll do that one now.
Because sure, we'll do
Where's
that.
the other link?
The other link is just beneath it, and it's the one saying, "Woman records a massive cube-shaped cloud on the Florida beach."
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to do my Crichton voice. I failed. Sorry, chat.
Right, so we'll do the cube like fucking hell. Oh, I don't want to add you to the fucking home screen.
Are you sure you don't add our Daily Star?
Yeah.
Go on, add our Daily Star.
Fucking
An airline pilot has captured bizarre footage of a cube-shaped UFO soaring across the sky. The cockpit view appears to show a metallic object flying at hypersonic speed over Colombia.
I don't know. I think I want to do this one in the sidebar. It says top adult star Jenny Lee now lives in squalor in bleak tunnels under Las Vegas.
Oh yeah, no, that's a proper Fortean story.
I think we'll do that next.
Yeah.
Oh, so this week's episode's sponsored by Thirsty Ferret Hobbit. I'm on my second bottle.
Oh, okay. This week's episode for me is sponsored by Council Pop because
you're on the Council Pop tonight, Hobbit.
Yeah, I'm drinking the Aldershot stock. The cockpit view appears to show a metallic object flying at hypersonic speed over Colombia, the only obvious means of propulsion. An extraordinary 4-minute clip, allegedly shot by a commercial pilot with Viva Air, shows the cubic structure shoot past the aircraft at a distance. Zooming in to the object at high altitude, it clearly resembles a cube and appears to glide down through the clouds in a controlled manner at an angle.
It looks more like a 12-sided dice that you used to play, like the thing you used to play D&D with.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Dice, like that kind of shape. It looks more hexagonal. Yeah. Looks more hexagonal than cube-like, to be honest.
Well, if you put a cube at an angle, it looks like a hexagon. But I know.
Oh, there you go. It's all. Don't worry. It's a weather balloon, Hobbit.
Oh, there we go. Is it weather balloon swamp gas Venus?
Yeah.
There we go. So yeah, this isn't a UFO. It's Venus swamp gas ball lightning weather balloon. An explanation for the UFO has not been given, but some netizens speculate it may be a rogue weather balloon or kite.
Oh, of course it is.
Yes, because kites, they zoom around at hypersonic speeds.
Yeah.
Others suggest the item resembled a Borg spaceship. Yeah. Others suggest the item resembled a Borg spaceship from sci-fi series Blake 7, where they use the thing, engage to use the Force, Luke. Geometric shapes are a common characteristic of UFOs. Other cubes have been spotted before, including by NASA. In January, UFO spotters were sent into a frenzy after watching a clip of block-shaped object hovering over Georgia, US. In the clip, the object appears to float aimlessly in the crystal-clear blue sky and appears to move slowly and steadily across the screen. Then a massive cube-shaped object was captured by NASA's Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, SOHO, flying into the sun in late 2018. The UFO appears square in shape, with a trail of smoke or gas falling behind it as it descends into the star. The Daily Star. Daily Star. Distant forces. When are the girls arriving? They're here, but they're letting us speak. They enjoy the sound of our voices.
They seem to be muted.
Oh well, that too. They're muted.
They're muted.
Another UFO.
They don't like
do you want to talk about the adult star, or do you want to talk about the cube? The women records a massive cube-shaped cloud.
Should we have a look at the adult star story?
Yeah. Then we'll do more cube news.
Yeah.
We got more cubes than your
I bet
average
it's going to
bum.
be bollocks.
Oh, I mean, the object, the photograph does look like a cube.
Oh, and that story leads to an advert for the new Skoda.
Oh yeah, 3 months on us. I'll drive a Skoda for 3 months for free. They can have it back afterwards.
Jenny Lee was one of the top porn stars in the world in 2016. Now she's living in the grimy tunnels beneath Las Vegas, homeliness and penniness. Anybody ever sampled her works?
No.
No, I don't think I've ever heard of her anyway.
She like Katie Price.
I don't know, she looks alright, mate. You would.
My favourite bit on Eurotrash was the weekend bits with Katie Price's tits.
It has been quite the fall from countless subscribers paying to watch her clips online, and some even contacting her to buy used underwear or sending gifts via her Amazon wish list. But she said she's happy with her knife now. It's not as difficult as she might think. Everyone's really respectful, she told a Dutch documentary team who found her subterranean hideaway. Everybody's good to each other, and I don't think which I don't think you find much normally. I'm happy I have everything I need here. Even now, leading adult film site Pornhub features hundreds of Jenny's videos. Clip of her interview with the Dutch documentary crew is on the site as well, showing a grubby, short-haired Jenny with racked teeth looking a world away from the sleek and groomed appearance of her porno past. Now aged 38, Jenny got into modelling at 13 and made her first porn movie at 21. Her final screen credit was a film entitled Horny Housewives, released in 2016. She has made over 100 films with such titles as Jenny Lee's Office Fling and Horny Hosts of Heaven. Her My Daddy's Hot Girlfriend series ran into several instalments. I actually got very famous, maybe a little too famous, she said. I'd still be in a top 100 on some list. I should still be in the top 100 on some list somewhere. Currently, Jenny's actually 613th on Pornhub's top 800, but that's not bad for someone who hasn't stepped in front of a camera in 5 years. Reflecting ruefully on her adult movie past, she said, I used to be so hot. Oh. More than 130 million people have watched the Clarksville, Tennessee's Natives films. Her profiles on various adult film sites have tens of thousands of subscribers. But if there's any money coming in, Jenny isn't seeing it. She has no running water, her only source of light is a torch, and she has minimal internet access. The tunnels offer some respite from Nevada's pitiless desert sun, but they flood when it rains, flushing away the meagre possessions they've managed to hang on to. Matthew O'Brien, author of Beneath Neon, Life and Death in the Tunnels of Las Vegas, told ABC News they can be dangerous. A lot of the tunnel folk are really good about communicating with each other when it's about to rain, so they can just grab their valuables and get out, leave everything else behind. He said many denizens of the tunnels get by credit hustling, stealing into casinos to scour slot machines for credit gamblers have accidentally left behind. After the Dutch film crew's interview with her emerged, Jenny's fans have been trying to raise money to help get her out the tunnels and into a home of her own. But for now, she seems buried. She remains buried beneath the unforgiving streets of Las Vegas. Do a lot of these ex-porn stars crack? Do they? Or?
Oh yeah, a lot of them overdose. A lot of them. Usually, you're a loser if you end up in North Vegas. That's where all the washouts end up.
Oh, is that Skid Row?
Mm-hmm. It's like right down from Circus. Stay away from those clowns,
Jesus, how much sniff you been doing?
Yeah, the thing is, most people don't know, but it's a giant.
Christ, you're old,
a city
Hemi.
within
What
a
the
city.
fuck? Why did they say Christ, you're old, Hemi?
I don't know, because we have a Zoomer audience and we're Gen X.
Yeah, because I'm over 20. It's like the children in the corner. If you're over 18, you might as well be dead.
Yeah, kids. Back in our days, when you wanted to see,
Hemi remembers
nudie mags. Yeah.
Hemi remembers the before times where you could smoke in pubs and Concorde and hovercraft existed.
Yeah.
The Fiesta Direxes.
the video call seemed like a sci-fi thing which you'd see on Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Dissonant Thought says check out Dead Bug on BitChute for Dark Tales of the Porn Trade. Hemi is
A
old.
lot of
fan.
UFO.
Just getting abused for being old. Woman records a massive. Do you want to do this one, Hobbit? This is your baby. This one.
Somebody else read it.
I'll do it.
I'm tired of hearing my voice all the time.
Woman records a massive cube-shaped UFO hidden in clouds on a Florida beach. I don't think that's a cube-shaped UFO. I think it's just a cloud formation. If any of you have been as obsessed with Tamara's videos as I have been, these cubes appearing in the sky will be nothing new for you. The cube of Saturn, aka false holographic reality, hence the dome of rock in Mecca, amongst other relics that emulate this sim. So basically she just photoshops cubes everywhere, does she?
Pretty much.
I mean, it's not a video, and she just made this kid. A woman lying to me?
Never.
Have a quick look at this video.
Refute these
4
calumnies.
fucking minutes. I ain't watching all that shit.
Is there anything good in the video? I could have previewed it before, but then
Except
where
it's
was the
like
fun in that?
maybe something hadn't
Where
in
was the
it.
fun?
I don't know. There's just like a darker patch of cloud, which she's assumed is a UFO hiding in the clouds.
Seriously.
Of course, my camera battery's about to die. No, it's about to.
Oh, it's a scary cube in the clouds.
Yeah.
Well, it's something, isn't it? But surely you'd think saying like that, there'd be more than one eyewitness and not just the one video. Whenever there's just one video of these things, I get a bit suspicious.
Yeah, you need to see a few.
Man, when we first told me about like, hey, let's do a show covering woo-woo and stuff, and I'll be like, oh yeah, we'll uncover the truths, and we'll find weird and wacky guests that will tell us everything. And it's like, oh yeah, no, that's just a bloke in a monkey suit, isn't it? That's what it is. It's all weather balloons and blokes in monkey suits.
Has Ian disabused you of any paranormal leanings? Has he, Hobbit?
Well, he's still not able to convince me the face on Cydonia is not a face.
Okay.
That is real. And Aegyptus is the Death Star.
Holy shit, you seen this one? Airline pilots report guy with jetpack at 3,000 feet.
As you do.
Is that possible?
If he has a pressurized suit, yes.
I mean, 3,000 feet, that's 1,000 meters up. I think you can still breathe there. Yeah, because Everest is above 3,000 feet.
So, man flying a jetpack is about the last thing any airline pilot would expect to see, especially while approaching the busy airspace above a major international airport. This was the site that met the pilots of American Flight 1997 at the weekend. However, both describing what they believed to be a guy in a jetpack 300 yards off their wing. The sighting was particularly unusual because they were still 3,000 feet in the air at the time, and still very few jetpacks are actually capable of propelling someone at such an altitude. The fact the culprit was flying around above a major airport makes it even more bizarre. Eve Rossi's experimental winged jetpack may be capable of such a feat, however his past flights have all been high-profile affairs carried out in remote areas. So who could be flying around by themselves above Los Angeles International Airport? The search for answers continues. Iron Man. Tony Stark. It's Elon Musk is Iron Man.
Oh yeah, didn't he make that weird car that just goes straight up?
Yeah, I think so.
What you mean he launched a Tesla Roadster into space?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad he did that. You know what? If I was as rich as him, I too would like send a car into space or something else just to say that I can afford to do this.
Yeah. So, are we going to talk next about a saltwater crocodile weighing in at over 770 pounds has been caught in a river at an Australian tourist hotspot. The enormous reptile, which measures 14.5 feet long, was discovered in the Flora River. Oh, excuse me. Around 75 miles southwest of the town of Kaptain in Australia's Northern Territory. According to wildlife ranger John Burke, it's the largest crocodile found in the area in many years. Tourists walked down to the river in the area where he was, he said. With the weather warming up, the crocodiles are becoming active. They're moving into breeding season as well, and the rivers are low and they're out looking for mates, particularly the big males. There's been a significant increase in the number of wild crocodiles in the region over the past few decades, thanks to a law made in the 1970s to grant them protected species status. They certainly are increasing in number, and that's part of the reason we have the management zones, to reduce numbers in high visitation areas so there's less chance of interaction between salties and people. By interaction, does he mean death?
Yeah.
This
Yes,
particular
human-crocodile relations have been at an all-time low.
Yeah. This particular monster, however, will be just fine. According to reports, he'll be taken to a crocodile farm where he'll be used as breeding stock. So he's just going to be like a big old fucking crocodile stud there, isn't he? Hopefully it'll be a little croc resort there and he'll have a new girlfriend, said Burke. But fuck me, that was a serious size of crocodile, isn't it? Apparently if you're running away from a crocodile, you're running a zigzag.
Yep.
Because they have trouble changing direction.
Yeah, they have lateral motions off by a lot with them. They can run pretty fast, though.
What did you want to read next, Donny?
Project Loon sparks UFO scare over the Congo.
Oh, what's that one? Oh, yeah, I saw that one. I thought we've already done this one.
Large. Oh, we already did that.
Oh, no, we can't have done, because it's since last week's show.
That was the goblins. Oh, we did. Okay.
Do you want to do the gigantic snapping turtle?
Oh, wait a minute. Yep. I got the giant snapping turtle.
Fuck me, that thing is ugly. Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
Look at that thing. Ooh. Gigantic snapping turtles caught in Florida. Wildlife researchers discovered 3 huge turtles which belong to a new species near Gainesville. Found by members of the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, 3 specimens, which weighed up to 100 pounds each, were caught in the New River using large hoop net traps. Formerly, the alligator snapping turtle, Macrolecus tamnicki, was considered a single wide-ranging species descended from Suwannee River drainage west into Texas, the FWC report says. Everyone agrees that the Suwannee species is distinct. Suwannee alligator snapping turtles have been isolated for the last 5.5 million years, during which time it has undergone sufficient evolutionary changes to differentiate it from other alligator snapping turtles. Researchers believe that these enormous reptiles can grow up to 2.5 feet long, can weigh up to 200 pounds, double the largest of this trio, and are capable of living for over 100 years. The discovery of these particular monsters in such a relatively small waterway was surprising. All 3 were released back into the wild after being examined for a study. This week, our biologists are checking out traps set for the Suwannee alligator snapping turtle. Okay, so it just goes through that. Whoa. Yeah, that would take your hand off.
Oh, fucking hell, that'd take your leg off, mate, that would.
Mm-hmm.
That's like
2.5 foot long, 200 pound fucking snapping turtle. Jesus Christ.
Well, the funny thing is with this, right, is they're technically angler turtles, because they have a worm-like tongue, and that's how they get fish to like basically just swim into their mouth. So they just like lurk at the bottom of the pond, and they have like a little angler tongue. So that's how they capture.
Is that like a little grabbler fish? They have like a grabbler fish type tongue.
It's like a grabbler turtle, something like that. Sometimes they're seen up north, and they're like like if you read a lot of Jack Donovan, you might see some grabbler animals. You never know what will happen.
Hobbit, did you want to do page 2? Elon Musk shows off the Neuralink brain implant.
Oh, that's yeah, the Shreeperman port. It's like, oh, I need a Shreeperman port, like I need a hole in the head. Shreeperman port is a hole in the head. Let's go to news because there we go. I was on home and it's a different layout. Elon Musk shows off Neuralink brain implant. The entrepreneur showcased the brain-computer interface with the assistance of a trio of pig volunteers. The pigs gave consent, did they? During a live-streamed presentation at Neuralink's headquarters in Fremont, California yesterday, CEO Elon Musk unveiled the titular implant and offered a demonstration of what it could do. Designed to enable man and machine to work together, Neuralink has been described as an answer to the existential threat of an artificial intelligence surpassing our own capabilities. I'll do the editorializing afterwards. In practical terms, this means it will have the capacity to enhance various human abilities as well as to serve as a way to treat various illnesses and neurological disorders.
Don't they say you'd only be able to zoom in and things like that? Your vision.
Well, I assume you need like an eyeball lens implant or something. For yesterday's demonstration, Musk introduced a trio of pigs, one of which having been fitted with the Neuralink implant, one of which having no implant, and the other having an implant that had since been removed, both indicating that the device could be taken out safely. The beeps you're hearing are real-time signals from Neuralink in Gertrude's head. He also hinted that in the future, the implant could even make it possible for people to replay their own memories inside the head, like saying an episode of Black Mirror, or maybe out of the far better Keanu Reeves film, Johnny Mnemonic, with his 10 gigabytes of storage.
Do you think they'll find some way of linking this up with the coof, so you've got to have one of these to prove that you haven't got the coof or something?
Maybe, or you'll put it in the forehead, because someone on Twitter was saying, like, I don't know much about the Bible, but what if the mark of the beast is like circumcision? I said, well, yeah, but no, because I don't think female circumcision counts. And it says in Revelations that it will either be on your left hand or on your forehead.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, the thing is, there's plenty of stuff they said there without any citations, like how's it going to help with neurological disorders and various illnesses? How's it going to help us surpass an artificial intelligence that surpasses our own capabilities? And how does it work? How does it interface with the brain?
Is it
what
like
does
this
it
thing,
do?
like that people think like people who can pass exams are smart because they can remember stuff?
Well, the other thing
is it something akin to that? Is it?
They can pass exams because they don't have performance anxiety. I mean, I love exams myself, but the world doesn't rely on exams. It's not as if you go to your job and you get quizzed by how to. Well, actually, that said, I used to get quizzed all the time on how does the printer work? How do I do an invoice?
They're talking about a big crash on the way. Nordic Nightmare said, Ben Shapiro wants me to sell gold, Hemi. I'm scared.
What, Ben Shapiro's selling gold?
No, wants him to sell gold.
Oh, Ben Shapiro wants.
Sell gold,
saffron prices are rising. OMG. Oh, there we go. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. The thing is, you don't. Gold and silver isn't an investment, and certainly not in the UK because you pay tax on silver. But it's just a store of wealth. So it's one of those things that it doesn't ever inflate or deflate.
It's a labour
value.
token. That's what you've got to remember. This is how this stuff should be viewed. It should be viewed as a labour token. So you have it in lieu of labour.
I know some people seem to get very sort of like keen on the idea of owning gold, and all I would just say is like if you're at the stage where you're like, I've got too much cash on hand, maybe I should convert these banknotes into gold coins because that's more portable. Then that's a nice problem to have.
So we're going to let the girls talk now then.
We should do the bit.
Do the bit. Come on,
please,
come on, Flossie.
Please do the bit.
You gonna play the bit before you?
Shall I play the bit? I'll play the bit.
Yeah, play the bit.
Right, so I shall... where is it? Found it. If I do that, then you can hear what I'm playing. So this is a bit from Pip.
This is a true story from my childhood. When I was about 16, I went to stay with one of my closest friends for the weekend. Her parents had gone away and we were alone in the house, so I was there to keep her company. Her house backed on to an ancient footpath that went between an abbey, where monks still resided, and a convent which had been turned into a school. So it was possible to access that footpath from the rear of the garden. We spent the evening chatting, hanging out, watching films, one of which was The Craft. And for those of you who don't know, The Craft is a film about supernatural, witchcraft and so on. And my friend asked me at some point whether I believed in witches, and I said no, not really. And she said, had I ever played with a Ouija board? And I didn't have a clue what one of those was. So she went off and she got out her sister's Ouija board. So she showed it to me, and she explained to me that a few weeks before, her sister had had some friends over for the evening, and they were messing about. I suppose much giggling and laughing, and not particularly taking it very seriously. But after a few hours of this, she said suddenly the glass moved to spell out the word die, D-I-E. And she said that the girls were shocked and distressed, and there was accusations that someone had pushed the glass and so on, but none of them actually, most of them didn't believe that, because it didn't seem likely that somebody could have steered the glass 2-3 letters in a row without it being noticeable that someone had shoved the glass. So she asked me if I'd like to have a go, and I said no, not really. No, not at all, especially after what you've just said. Anyway, the evening went on, and eventually we went to bed, and I had the guest bed in her bedroom, so we were in the room together. And I don't think either of us was particularly tired, so we carried on chatting. Eventually the chatter died down, and she said, would you like to hear some stuff about where this house is built? Because there's quite a bit of history. Well, I knew that there was an abbey behind the house because I had been to one of the Christmas Eve services with her family, but I didn't know anything about there being any mystery to the area. She lived in a modern house. It was one of about 20 in a close, which had been built on the old grounds to the abbey. And she said that when they excavated the foundations for the old buildings to put the foundations for the new ones down, they had found loads of skeletons of babies. And the rumour was that the nuns and the monks would meet on this footpath and be intimate, I suppose that's the word I'm looking for here. And the result of that was the odd occasional accidental pregnancy, which I guess was easy to hide underneath their habits. But clearly, after having had the baby, they couldn't keep it, and so either they would or someone would take the babies down to this field and I guess do away with them and bury them. So those tiny skeletons were found when they excavated the land. She then added, "But the worst thing I've heard about this place is the ghost that walks along the pathway at the back of the house. Lots of people have reported over many decades seeing a ghostly figure, either a white lady or a white nun, hovering above the ground, moving along the pathway." And she said, "The only person I know who's seen something was one of my neighbours, who said he was out walking his dog when he saw something misty hovering over the path, enough to make him want to turn back and come home." Just as she finished saying this, there was a loud bang coming from somewhere in the house. And remember, we were completely alone in the house. There was nobody else in there. We stopped talking and looked at one another, and I could hear the sound of my heart beating. And just as I was about to say something, the light bulb blew in her bedroom. At this point, both of us grabbed each other in the dark, and now it sounded like the handle on her bedroom door was shaking or rattling. She shot up and started pushing her chest of drawers in front of the door, and we ended up in the corner of the room, huddled together, whispering for hours until it started to get light. This is either a story about two girls who got scared by one of them sharing too much scary information, or something visited the house that night. I will never know, and I've never forgotten that event, and I've never had another one like it since.
Oh, Pip, that's scary.
Yeah, it was. I'd never forgotten it. Her parents came back the following day, and we told them what had happened. And they checked around the house to see if anything had fallen off. A shelf had come down somewhere in the basement or anything. They couldn't find anything at all. Now, your guess is as good as mine as to what that was. And I'm a skeptic about these things. I kind of believe there is potentially something out there, but to actually have something like that happen all in one go, the bang, the light bulb went, and then there was a sort of, I would say it was more like a shaking or a rattling of the handle. I missed out there. We probably were both crying at that point. I mean, 16-year-olds alone in a house with that going off. It's pretty awful, really, when you think you don't know. I mean, I pondered whether or not she had set that up and there was somebody in the house. But she was one of my best friends, and if that had been the case, at some point she would have said April Fool or something, you know what I mean? And she never did. So.
Did it suddenly get cold at all? Do you notice the temperature change?
I don't, after all these years, I don't remember that. I mean, it was, I wasn't into any of that Ouija board stuff, but apparently her sister was, and I have heard people who have.
Did you get any results from the Ouija board?
Well, they did, didn't they? They got die, D-I-E.
And that was it?
That was it, after 2 hours. And she said it wasn't even on a table, they were on the floor, on the carpet. So it would have been very difficult, wouldn't it? To have, maybe if you had a magnet underneath and there was a magnet on or underneath the glass. I mean, you could possibly do something like that, but...
So it moved by itself, it wasn't when you had your hands on it?
I wasn't doing it, but that's what she said. That they... it's just a gang of, probably about 4 or 5 girls having a laugh for an evening. But I've heard some pretty awful things about people dabbling with Ouija boards. Whether it's true or not, I don't know.
Not something me and Hobbit will do. We'll be Hobbit.
He's muted.
Bloody Hobbit. Pain in the ass. Yeah, because we've spoke about Ouija boards before. It's not something I'd ever mess about with.
No.
No.
I mean, best not to, don't you think? that whole site, a couple of 100 years old, with, all those babies. Actually, that's probably not the only time I've heard about something like that. I don't think the moral standards of nuns and monks were that high in the way back.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories like that, isn't there?
I'm not sure that they had a chastity vow either. I think that's more a modern thing.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. But it's kind of sad, all of that. But there are loads, and I was looking it up online. There are so many stories about a white lady manifesting at various places all around the world. I'm sure it's the same one.
They're usually white or grey, aren't they? Because our first proper episode of the 14 Words, we did Borley Rectory, and that had a nun that used to walk along the path at the back.
That program, which turned out potentially at least to be a scam, called Most Haunted.
Yeah.
Because there are one or two stories. Leave to one side what happened with the production crew when they went into the house, which always seemed to revolve around someone throwing some rocks and things around.
Yeah.
But the stories themselves, the reason why they went there, were quite intriguing. They just hammed it up, I'm afraid. But
I don't know. I kind of get the feeling that too many people kind of snuffs out the psychic energy. I don't know. That's just my feeling.
But isn't it strange that the ghosts only come at night time, don't you think?
Maybe they're only visible at night. Maybe they are there during the day, but you just can't see them in daylight.
No, it's not a question of seeing them, is it? It's a question of bringing them, bringing them to the fore to communicate with you.
Was it around the witching hour? Like 3 o'clock, 2 to 3. Usually that stuff happens around then.
I thought it was midnight.
No, the witching. The worst time of day is 3:15 because it's the 3:15 in the morning because it's the inversion of when Christ was crucified on the cross. Much the same as 13's unlucky because there were 13 at the Last Supper.
Well, there we are. That's the only encounter I ever had with something unexplained and scary.
How about you then? Come on, Flossie.
I've never had anything happen to me directly, so it's sort of second-hand information, really. But it all happened in the same house, which was my great-grandparents' house. And it was like a really old Victorian house that had like old servant quarters in the attic and old stables and all that sort of thing attached to it. And I think both my great-grandparents died in that house, actually. And so everything spooky that my family experienced happened after that. But it wasn't even just at night, actually. My grandma said that she was sat alone one day in the lounge and somebody called out her name. They just called out her name, and it was, just like you and I were talking right now, and she looked to see who it was, and she was trying to see who it was, and there was nobody there. and so that really freaked her out. And my granddad as well, he was staying in the house, and my family tended, a lot of the guys in my family tend to work away. So my uncle had been working abroad, and my granddad was in the house on his own one night and heard somebody come into the house and close the door and run up the stairs, and he just assumed, oh, my uncle's back, he must have just come back in the early hours or something, and he just didn't really think any more of it. But got up the next day and there was nobody there.
Oh, I think he's probably better off for getting up the next day and finding out he went there.
He just sort of thought, oh, okay, yeah, he's come home, and just I'll speak to him in the morning. I'm not going to bother him now. And there was no one there. But and I don't know, I would be quite skeptical about all that, except that my dad, like when I was a baby, my parents were staying in that house, just around family and getting some babysitting, I suppose, from my grandparents. And my dad left to go to work one day, and my dad is like the most cynical person in the world. Like he doesn't believe in any of this kind of stuff. He thinks it's all really silly. He's very, very serious, and he said that he went to leave the house one day to go to work. So he goes to the door, and he turned around to sort of say goodbye to my mom, and just say, oh, see you later. And there was somebody stood at the top of the stairs, like a sort of grey figure. They were just stood at the top of the stairs, and he said he knew it wasn't anyone that was in the house. And I said to him, Dad, didn't that freak you out? And he's like, well, yeah, but what was I supposed to do? I just went to work. So he just went to work, and I was like, well, did it not freak you out? He's like, well, yeah, but there's nothing I can do about it.
What? And he didn't mind leaving your mum there, did it?
Well, that's what I said. I was like, well, what, baby me and my mum? You just leave the house. But,
maybe you thought your mum had a Roger.
I don't know, but it's just so funny. It's just the fact that he was so blasé about it. He just sort of, he was just like, yes, there's just like this ghost there, and I was just like, oh, that's weird, and that was it. But yeah, it was all in the same house. It was weird. There are other stories that I can't remember. They're the ones that really stick in my mind. But all my family on that side had very weird experiences in that house, and it was always that they would hear people talking, like calling their names, or that they would hear people walking up and down the stairs, or they'd hear the door opening and closing, and not just creaky house noises, but you can hear when someone's walking up your stairs, and
the difference in sound.
Yeah, it's creepy, and then there's.
And then your dad just
nobody
like,
there.
yeah, whatever.
My dad's just like, oh.
Just one of those things.
My dad's just like, all right, that's a bit weird.
Bit weird, but okay.
Like, I was running late for work, so, So, yeah, it didn't, I was too young for anything to happen to me. I don't remember anything that did happen. I don't have any recollection of it. And the house has been sold now. So we don't have that house in the family anymore, but yeah, a lot of weird things happened in there. It was quite a big house as well. So, well, yeah, I don't think that was the reason why, but yeah, it's gone now. Yeah.
Be interesting to follow up and see if anybody else had the same experiences.
Yeah, it would be actually. Yeah.
Did anyone ever sort of look into whether or not there'd been some strange goings on in that house?
I don't think so. I'd have to ask my grandma, because it was my great grandparents' house, and then my grandparents inherited it once they died. So I don't know if anything happened when my great grandparents were living there, and if if they had any weird experiences, because like I say, it was an old house, but I don't know. I mean, the only people I know of that died in the house were my great grandparents, but yeah, I mean, for my dad to say that is very,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's very,
I mean, that's the
convincing
camp
to
I
me.
sit. I'm a skeptic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but obviously it's 16. That's kind of, and on the, I mean, it's bad enough being on your own in the house. You kind of listen to creaks and things, don't you? But it's, I want to just point out to anyone who's listening that there is actually quite interesting film on my Retro TV and Films channel called The Stone Tape. And I remember watching that years ago when I was young, and I was really scared of it. It was scary. I watched it more recently. It wasn't quite so scary, but it is actually quite a good, it was a BBC production. It's got Jane Asher in it and various other people you'd recognise. So I will put a link in if anybody wants to have a look at that, because there's a sort of touch of the supernatural, but also kind of prehistoric in there. So I'll put that in the YouTube.
Yeah, because
What
there is
about you guys?
you know what the stone tape theory is, don't you, Pip?
Yeah, that stones retain the sound and the actions. It's like magnetism.
Yeah. So do you believe there are different types of ghosts then, Pip? Do you believe there's the... I think there's like the ones that are like a psychic recording, and I think there also are the ones that are like intelligent spirits as well.
Yeah, and there's also people that got psychotic illnesses. I mean, to be honest, I don't fit into that category, and I doubt that Plus's family do. But there are people that see ghosts all around them, aren't there?
Oh yeah,
and other
people
things
just
all
want
around
to
them,
see these
obviously.
things, don't they?
Yes. No, I don't know. I've watched a lot of programs about things like this over the years, and I sit with an open but skeptic mind. And there are times when I go, God, really? That and some of those people really research into what's gone on in the house, and quite often there's a massive history of things like deaths or and sometimes unexplained deaths. Something happened, someone had a heart attack or fell down the stairs, or there's a film I really like, which is The Legend of Hell House. That is an incredible and atmospheric film. If anybody wants some recommendations for spooky, scary films, we should do on Halloween. We should do a sort of film and ghost story fest.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. That'd be cool.
And maybe we could get people phoning in or something. I don't know. I just think it's nice when you have interaction.
Yeah, I've certainly got more watchers than last year, so I should be able to get someone to come on and tell us their spooky experiences, or just do a StreamYard or something.
Do a tarot reading.
Hmm?
I haven't done the tarot reading in years. I could do one of those.
You're not supposed to do one for yourself, though, are you?
Oh
What?
yeah, I thought that was.
I had my hand read by a guy in Greece back in when I was very young, and he looked just like James Dean. I just thought I'd put that in there, He wasn't. Obviously, he wasn't James Dean.
Is that why you let him read your hand?
Well, probably. I don't know. I mean, it seemed like a good idea at the time. He did say I was going to have a long life and 2 children. I mean, I don't know about the long life. What's wrong about the children? So you 3 guys. What about you? Anything?
Not a single thing.
encounters?
But a friend of mine, her son in one of their houses used to see a woman in a red dress, and apparently she used to get like slapped around by a ghost husband as well. They used to argue and row and fight and stuff, these two ghosts, and like it got to Sometimes it'd be like where he wouldn't either go up or down the stairs because there'd be the other end of the stairs rowing or fighting or whatever.
I had one experience, but it wasn't like any ghost sighting I've ever heard of. There was just this evil black presence in the corner of my room. No, I didn't take photographs of it. It was one of the only times I've hidden under my bed covers whilst all the lights were on, and it was still there. And I don't know how to describe it, apart from it was just black and absence of light.
Yeah, because there are... Because you've heard about angel sightings. Apparently some people have had kind of the opposite, where they've had like black angel or like demon sightings, where the demons have caught the demon out of the corner of their eye or something like that. I was looking
for... I had a dream.
It's just hard to,
I had a dream
hard to
once
know,
about
isn't it?
something like that.
What? Being dragged down to hell or something?
No, I had a dream I got bit by a snake in the face. And when I woke up, I had two bite marks like on my nose.
Oh.
Yeah.
Probably your girlfriend.
Yeah, probably one of them crazy fucking broads you hooked up with, Dunny.
That was when I was a kid.
Anyone ever see that film, The Entity? That's
based on a
real
true
life.
story. She went missing, didn't she, in the end? Didn't she?
I don't know. I thought she was still. I thought they'd moved and she was still around.
No, she went missing. Nobody knows.
Followed.
Nobody knows where. I'm pretty sure she went missing.
Is
Nobody
that right?
knows where she is. Yeah.
Huh? Maybe she tried to escape the entity because it pursued her.
It did what it needed to do to her. I did listen to a podcast once about the Lutz's son. You know, the Lutz's that owned Amityville House, the Amityville Horror House.
Yeah.
Apparently, he said that George Lutz had been doing Ouija boards and devil worship and stuff like that. So the reason that the people who bought the house next didn't have any spirit trouble was because it followed them. And also, the kid was saying that George Lutz handled everything and told the kids that it's all right, I'm doing it properly and stuff, and like you don't really need to read it and stuff like that. And it weren't till he was older that he actually read it.
Is that the same film where they the houses were built on an old graveyard?
No, that's Poltergeist. The Amityville Horror is the one with Josh Brolin was in. James Brolin was in the original, and that played Lois Lane in the Superman films, where the blood drips out of the walls and they have to escape.
Well, I'm looking on Wiki, which is generally up to date.
Yeah.
And it says Carla returns to house the next day. The front door slams by itself, and she's greeted by a demonic voice which says, "Welcome home. You know what? Beginning with a C." She calmly opens the door, exits the house, gets in the car with her family, and leaves. A closing disclaimer verifies that Carla and her family have moved to Texas. Carla still experiences attacks from the entity, although they have lessened in frequency and severity. So it doesn't say that she's disappeared.
Oh, I read that somewhere else that they lost contact.
Because I must admit, that's a film that kind of sticks with you, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was quite a film. And I think more so, obviously, because it was based on a real life situation.
Because The Exorcist is based on real life case as well, isn't it? But I think it was a boy, wasn't it?
Sure. There's a thing on here which says the true story behind the entity is even more terrifying and disturbing than the movie.
I was mentioning telephone telepathy earlier on.
Yeah.
I've had this thing for a number of years now, at least 10 years that I've been noticing it. And that's that I'll start thinking of someone and it's unbidden. Can't just consciously think of it. And then within 12 hours, they will message me, text, voice, whatever. And that's just happened to me now. So somebody's just sent me a DM, and I was like, "I'm just thinking about you 10 hours ago." The only time like I said, I know somebody. He's an artist and he's very sensitive, and he's seen ghosts before, and I believe him when he's seen them. And we went to Stonehenge once in 2011, so you might have seen The Hobbit there if you were there at that time, drinking mead from a witch's horn. And I had a broken finger at the time. I touched the stone and I felt this warmth come through me. My bones were healed. And my artist friend, he touched the same stone and he recoiled like he'd been zapped with electricity. I remember it was quite misty at the time, and he said, "Oh, what's all this mist?" And I said, "Well, obviously it's the spirits rising up to come party with us."
Yeah, because it's kind of... they even find it weird as there's no ghosts of Neanderthal men. I think Romans are about the oldest ghosts that there are, aren't they?
Well, that Stone Tape film that I put the link to, that seems to be primordial. Or
I've seen shows about that in Ireland, how they have they think that some alkaline metals in the stone could have recorded something because it's made of the same material. Yeah, used in tapes. Yeah.
The Ridgeway in England. I used to live next to part of it, and during certain times of the night, you could see Roman legionaries walking along it. I never went to that road at the time to see it. I was there at 11 o'clock once, and I did just sort of stop, see if I could see anything, but I didn't, and I didn't feel comfortable there, so I did move along. Uno in the chat says, "Hobbit, is that remote viewing?" No, I think it's a form of telephone telepathy where you have a premonition that somebody's going to call you. And like I said, not even deja vu, because deja vu, you're aware of a time and a place, and like I've done this before. It's more a case of I start thinking of somebody. It's like, why am I thinking of them? I haven't seen them. It's because you're going to be contacted by them later that day.
I wonder which side initiates it, Hobbit. I wonder if you initiate it or they do.
You know what? That's a good question. I'll ask my friend whether he had an idea to call it today.
Any chance of doing it in reverse? Because sometimes I wish people didn't phone.
If only.
Okay, I'm right in the middle of something, and the phone rings, and you go, "Oh."
I've got no.
I just made a...
There's no conscious control of it. I've meditated on somebody I've wanted to call me, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it has to be like spontaneous, doesn't it? Donnie's getting rang by someone he's been thinking about.
Girlfriend.
Get a phone call from Saspador.
Hello?
Yeah, can we hear? Thank you. Turn it up a bit.
Why are you making fun of me, guys? Why are you doing this? This is evil. You're all evil. Leave me alone. Want to retire in peace.
Come back
I
and
don't want to come back. I want to be on Millennial.
Heraldwood says, I've had a few scary sights in my bedroom when I was younger. Sadly, they were still there when I turned the lights on. Dirty boy. Dirty boy.
Oh, dear. What spooky ectoplasm on the sheets.
Oh, no.
That's an interesting phenomenon, isn't it? I got a book where they've actually got photographs, and there was a famous person back in Victorian time that could manifest things with ectoplasm. That
I think I want to do an episode on Victorian psychics, because they were like real showmen, weren't they? Have you done a program on the weird and wonderful, terribly sad, really, people that were as part of the freak circuses?
I don't
I don't think it was that sad. They were like the YouTube star. They're like the PewDiePies of their day, weren't
Well,
they? They had plenty of money.
No, they were actually treated very
what,
badly.
like
There's those
Lobster Man?
conjoined twins that were actually treated very badly.
Some of them were.
the thing
though,
is-
weren't. I suppose it depended which circus you were,
And
but some of them
also
were treated very well.
The Elephant Man was treated very badly.
With the sideshow freaks, they said that back when people would just gawp at them, your job was literally just to be yourself, and you get paid for it because people want to see you. But now that we're politically correct about it, we're not supposed to gawp at the freaks.
Well, the lobster man's very interesting. You heard about that guy, the lobster man, who got murdered?
Yeah, I did. Well, there was a document. I didn't know he was murdered, but there was Flamidolide hands. He went around to interview freaks.
I remember that.
And-
I remember that documentary. That I can't remember his name, but I do know the guy you mean.
He's been on an episode, I think, of Casualty as well, where he was a patient with cancer, and they said, "You're not going to like this. We can offer you chemotherapy. All right, the chemotherapy is Flamidolide. You're joking." It's like, no, Flamidolide is actually a chemotherapy.
Oh, Jesus.
So there's like this Flamidolide patient. They're saying, "We're going to give you more Flamidolide to cure your cancer."
Well, surely you'd be immune to. Would you be immune to it?
Not sure that's how it works.
But doesn't chemotherapy make you sick?
Well, of course it does. It's poisonous.
Yeah, but thalidomide was an anti-morning sickness drug.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they were recommending it. I mean, this is getting us aside from this thing of our show, but
Yeah.
I suppose maybe Flamidolide was like, well, it's a less toxic form of chemotherapy.
It's a targeted therapy drug, so they use it for myeloma, blood cancers, things like that.
Yeah, that's weird because it was actually marketed originally. That's why you have the thalidomide children, because it was marketed as an anti-morning sickness drug.
Yeah. Apart from in the States, they didn't approve it for use for morning sickness over there. So that's why you don't get cases of thalidomide children over there.
I didn't know at the time. It's one of those words which will probably fall out of into obsolescence, but we used to tease people and call them flids. I didn't realise it was short for Flamidolide.
Never heard of that.
I thought it was Nebutol. That was like the term.
What, flid or thalidomide?
80s.
Yep.
Oh, I've heard of thalidomide.
Oh, you never heard of a spacker being called a flid?
No, I haven't. Didn't move in those kind of circles, obviously.
What, you mean you were never a child, Pip?
I heard that.
Obviously not. Obviously, I came into the world.
I never moved in
fully
those
formed,
circles. I was just an adult from birth.
No, I just said, what I mean is I didn't move in circles where people called people horrible names like that.
Flid,
So-
Joey. You never called someone a Joey, Pip?
I think this is a guy thing.
Is that a kangaroo?
No, a Joey. Well,
should be.
basically, what happened was like the BBC they did Blue Peter, which was being very right on. They thought they'd introduce you to a fella called Joey Deacon who had cerebral palsy. So obviously, rather than the intended consequence of being everyone would be more sympathetic towards people with cerebral palsy, what happened was kids up and down the country called anybody who was a spacker, they got called a Joey.
Oh yeah, they did that over here with Corky from Life Goes On.
That was
like the insult.
You got
of
called
the
a
90s,
corky,
yeah.
did you?
No, everyone would just call somebody like, "Hey, kid, you're being retarded. What are you, a corky?"
What else have we got? So what else are we going to talk? Are we all contented out? Are we?
Some good.
Don't you mean
production
we're
value.
content with our show as it is?
Or did you want to do the 6 most famous ghost stories ever and the most famous ghosts in the world?
I'll just point at the title you gave the show for today and say that we should do a little bit more about ghosts, I think.
Yeah.
Or your Yeah.
So we'll do the Flying Dutchman. So you know about the Flying Dutchman, do
Oh,
you, lads
yeah.
and lasses?
Fantastic. Yeah.
I
Anyone ever
don't
seen this?
actually. Oh.
Oh, go on then, read it out.
So it might not be a human ghost, but the Flying Dutchman is without doubt one of the most famous hauntings of all time. Dating way back to the 17th century, this is one of those seafaring stories passed between sailors during long, arduous voyages. But as with most sea stories, there is an element of truth to the tale. The ship was doomed to being swallowed by the seas once the captain refused to turn back towards safer waters during a rough storm. Passengers and crew begged the captain to take to safer seas, and still he refused. He thought he'd be able to take his ship through the storm, and somewhat foolhardily challenged God to take him, his people, and the ship down. Thus the ship was taken down. The Flying Dutchman is seen at sea, either as a light or a somewhat translucent image, and brings with it a sense of doom. Moral of the story, don't mess with the sea. So next, the Brown Lady. She's not like the brown noise. The Brown Lady is probably one of the most famous ghost photographs in existence. She appears in a photograph taken at Raynham Hall, Norfolk, as a translucent white figure in a hooded robe on a staircase. She's known as the Brown Lady because she's commonly seen in a heavy brown dress. But you just said she's white. The most common theory surrounding who the Brown Lady is that she was Dorothy Walpole, who was married to Viscount Charles Townshend. She died in 1726 under what many people now believe to be mysterious circumstances, and was seen regularly around the hall until the photograph was taken of her in 1936. She's now seen far less frequently. The Stanley Hotel. Does everybody know what the Stanley Hotel is?
Nope.
It's familiar. Yeah.
The Stanley Hotel is where The Shining was filmed.
Oh, right, yeah,
Of course.
Do you know I don't like that film? But carry on.
Yeah,
I do. I like that film.
I'm not very keen on him, and I don't like her, so that's a bit of a problem right there, isn't it?
Oh, she was creepy she was more creepy than Jack
creepy
Nicholson.
as anything, isn't she?
She's so
Go on,
gangly and
what about
weird.
her?
She was a model, I think, as well, though. You know, at the time she was. Yeah, Shelley Duvall? Yeah, she was. She did modeling.
Wow.
Odd. Oh, when she's trying to hit him with that bat and her wrists are all limp and
Red rum, red rum, red rum.
Red rum. Oh, has anyone watched the sequel yet? The Doctor Sleep?
No.
That's a sequel. It's about the grown-up Danny.
Was it any good?
Don't know. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, okay.
So apparently at the Stanley Hotel, children are heard racing through the halls, and guests have even reported seeing ghostly figures watching them in their rooms. That's creepy. Room 407 is thought to be home to Lord Dunraven, who used to own the land on which the hotel is built. He's often blamed for any jewellery that goes missing, and unsurprisingly for the large amount of activity that occurs on the 4th floor. So we've got the Barini haunting. Starting in the late 70s, the Barini haunting occurred at the residence of Joe and Rose Barini and their 2 children in New England. The 2 children were from Rosie's previous marriage, and in 1979 they were visited by a ghostly young girl who claimed her name was Serena. Neither Joe or Rose knew of a Serena in their family and were puzzled by the visit, although it was not without consequence, because shortly afterwards their daughter Daisy nearly died during an operation to have her tonsils removed. These spooky visits from childish schools and unfortunate events in the life of the Barini family became more and more common, with the events culminating with Rose levitating out of her bed and 2 exorcisms before the family was finally left in peace. Someone take over. I need to blow my nose.
Yeah, also the Amityville ghost, the Tombstone.
No, Winchester.
Abe
Winchester.
Lincoln.
The Winchester's the next one.
Yeah. Winchester ghost.
You put the
Is that
program.
South Shields poltergeist.
Maybe we should have done what they do in school. You know, it's your turn next, and then you.
All right, I'll do it myself. The Winchester Mystery House. Home to some of America's most famous ghost sightings, the Winchester Mystery House took 38 years to build under the guidance of ghosts and ghouls. Instead of
Oh, God.
Instead of using architects to help with planning and design, Sarah Winchester, grieving after the death of her husband, asked for the help of a medium. He told her that he and her daughter had died due to a curse on the family because too many people had died at the hands of the Winchester gun. Sarah had to move, but not only that, she had to build a house specifically for the spirits. She couldn't just build a house for them. If she ever stopped building, the curse would get her too.
Oh, I know that one. Yeah, it's like one of England's most intricate houses, and it's got water
It's not
wheels
England,
and
it's
stuff.
America's.
Oh wait, I'm getting this mixed up with.
Winchester House because of the gun.
Yeah, no, I thought Winchester House was in it. I thought Winchester was in English.
Winchester is in England, but a lot of places in America are named after places in England.
No, it's not
And
Winchester
Wales
the
as well.
place. It's Winchester the family name.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought.
A bell tower was added to summon and dismiss the spirits, and a seance room to speak with the spirits directly, as well as her husband. The house is known as the Mystery House, and in fact tours are given there today. Due to the odd layout of the house, designed to flummox bad spirits and keep Sarah safe from the curse. Hallways double back on themselves, doorways drop down to nowhere and led to windows. Stair posts were installed upside down, and everything in the house had 13 of something. 13 stairs, 13 panes of glass, 13 windows in the 13th bathroom.
Aye.
Whether she thought using the number 13 would keep her safe from demons or not remains to be seen, but it's a fascinating house. Not only that, but all the summoning of spirits reportedly means the house is brimming with paranormal activity. Organs are said to play their own accord, and there are cold spots throughout the house. Voices are heard with no explanation for their origin, and there have been sightings of spirits throughout the house. Yeah, there are literally stairways that lead out to a 30-foot drop, aren't there, in that house?
Great.
I'm not sure if it will be there in your list, but the churches of Lalibela in Ethiopia, that's got to be a ghostly thing.
What's that? Is it?
Well, right, so
we're doing these now.
Ethiopia's already full of spooks, but
boom, boom. Do you do your one, or shall I tell about Lalibela briefly?
Let's see your one.
Okay, so Lalibela is these churches in Ethiopia that are carved out of the bedrock themselves. And when they were described, they said that during the day, men would work on them. By the way, they weren't made by native Ethiopians or whatever modern day Ethiopians are. They were made by the Queen of Sheba and
I missed the joke out. What's the name of the world's smallest pub? The Thalidomide Arms.
Oh dear! Oh dear! So anyway, Queen of Sheba, she marries like someone in Ethiopia, and she's like, right, I'm gonna move from Sheba, which I would take the Arabian Peninsula, and go there. I'm gonna make these churches because I'm a Christian and all that. And during the day, men would work on it, chipping away, and during the night, the main work was done by angels, which was seen to be glowing. And I'm like, all right, so
were they
not
angels
men.
Or were they CI angels?
No, because this was before the CIA. Terry Davis hasn't said anything about it, but if you see them, they're quite small churches, but at the same time, the fact that these were carved out of solid rock, and you have to go down to get into them. It's the only thing when I say there's no like two-story structure in Africa that's built by sub-Saharan Africans. It's like, okay, yeah, but also the churches of Lalibela, which aren't 2 stories because they're carved into the rocks, so they're subterranean. But at the same time, I'm like, that wasn't built by sub-Saharan Africans, and they even say it wasn't. They said the angels built it by night, or they, I don't know, tidied up or something during the day.
He done know, Hobbit.
Yeah, they made a movie about that, didn't they?
Yes, I am done now.
Donnie, what are you saying?
Oh, so they did a movie about that one, didn't they? It was the guy who played Bricktop from Snatch was in it. So was Stellan Skarsgård, and it was about
Alan Ford.
Yeah.
Yes, Alan Ford, and he went to Africa where there were like these possessed hyenas.
Oh
and it was
no,
like
you're thinking that. No, that's one of the Exorcist prequels.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember which one it is, but there's like people hung upside down and flayed, the skin taken off them and stuff like. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's one of the Exorcist prequels. That film is. Well, that could be. I'll have a look.
Brown Lady of Raynham Hall, Ghost of Boot Hill Cemetery, Backseat Ghost, Spectre of Newby Church. I think these are all in England.
Exorcist: The Beginning, it's called.
Yep.
Where it's actually set. It's set in Cairo.
Where you're at? Cairo, yeah.
It's set in Cairo and then Kenya.
Yep, Kenya. Ten most famous ghost photos of all time. Most of those are fake. Lord Combermere. Taken at Combermere Abbey in 1891, figures believed to be a ghost of Lord Combermere, a British cavalry commander.
So the last one of these famous 6 ones is Alcatraz. There was a horror film about that, weren't there? Haunted Alcatraz thing.
I don't remember seeing a film.
Yeah, it's like an 80s horror film.
Don't forget number 7 should be the Ghost of Brutus.
Oh yeah, number 7. What does the Ghost of Brutus have to say, Donnie?
Ghosts in Hindustan.
I don't know why, but I tried to do an entertaining show and everybody on my panel did most of the work for me. I didn't understand much of what was going on. And, I just decided to run away, yeah? Because, that's the thing to do. And then, Pip wouldn't rub my tummy and everybody ran away from me.
Well, just because Pip won't rub my tummy doesn't mean I'm running away.
Well, maybe Flossie and I could start a tummy rubbing service, but I think it would be chargeable.
Please don't.
Don't encourage Brutus.
Don't encourage me.
Well, it's actually not Brutus that's asking for it. He's not here to ask for it.
And on that note, I think we should say good night.
Yeah.
Night all.